All right, we have clicked record, and here we go.
Peace.
Love.
Cappuccino.
Frappuccino. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix podcast. I am one of the lovely hostesses, the Garlic Johnson. I am joined by our
Josh.
Very good, Josh. Say hi to the folks.
Hi, folks.
Well, folks, as you know, hiddenoaksoverdose@gmail.com, facebook.com/hoodpod, anchor.fm/hoodpod. We only got one episode left. We're kind of out of the realm of fan interaction, but we would still love your opinions on anything if you got them. We would love to feature you. Levi Oki illustration, segment start times description below. All that jazz. Josh, how we doing?
Darren, I do have something to say. I didn't necessarily agree with your take there on we'd love to have their opinions. We'd only love to have their opinions if they're in agreement with our opinions.
Right. And we won't know that until we get them.
Right.
Or should we tell them what to say to us?
No, I think we should provide an outline to everybody that contributes to the show.
Okay.
Say like do's and do nots and that sort of thing.
Do you want to type that up?
I think it's already done. I think I have it right here. It's just a blank page. Don't talk to us.
I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with that. I would prefer if people did talk to us at least every once in a while.
Unless your name is
Brian.
Brian.
Once in a while.
You have to use the words "love the grum" on every single message you send to us.
Every single message, huh?
Except one, apparently.
Yeah, except when you're talking about Josh Gordon, I guess. So Josh, how you doing today?
Oh, doing okay. How are you, Gar?
Good. How was your Christmas?
It was good. Got a lot of good toys.
Yeah, I saw. You want to talk about your favorite get of the Christmas season, Josh?
You
were giddy as a fucking lamb.
I got Legos, Gar.
You're goddamn right, you did.
Not just like Legos, a set of Legos that you can get that costs $400,000, comes with 100 different directions.
Like no Filet to Hogwarts, no giant R2-D2, nothing like that.
Yep, nope. I got the classic creative box. Lets my mind run wild. And then I went to Target yesterday and bought more Legos because they were on sale. And I'm an adult and I have my own money.
Are you keeping them out of the reach of the dogs? Because I could imagine a scenario where your dogs begin to eat Legos.
Well, so far I've only busted them out on the kitchen table yesterday for
6 hours.
Well, yeah, and then I had to take a break, so 12 hours total.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
And they didn't try to get up there and get them, which is nice. I didn't get angry and throw any, so that was also nice.
Proud of you.
But yeah, no, I mean, you saw the chooch.
Josh, I'm always going to see the chooch.
I made a chooch, made a little house, I just figured why not. Made myself a orangutan hanging from a tree that swings back and forth.
Obviously.
And then I made a helicopter.
A helicopter?
Yeah.
Did she fly?
Oh yeah, she flies.
Oh yeah.
Might have seen her taking off down 10 East.
Right. Where was she
Eastbound on
going?
10. I designed it to be a news chopper.
Oh, so is it reporting on the news right now?
Yeah, went down to visit the Hammers.
Oh yeah. What was any particular reasoning visiting Hammer and no one else?
Well, I think just visiting Andrew to say congrats on winning a fantasy championship.
Josh! It's still rough.
But yeah, no, I haven't seen it come back, so I might not have attached enough fuel engines and what chopper thing.
Don't worry, you'll work out. You'll work out the kinks as you go along.
Yeah. How about you? What did you get? I want to hear about your gifts.
Oh, do you, Josh? I got some socks, got some badass socks, got some Avenger socks, got some Elf socks, got 24 pairs of socks on Christmas Day. So I'd say I'd like to see anyone else who got as many socks as me on Christmas Day. Other than that, I mean, nothing too crazy. Yeah, I can't think of anything. I mean, Socks was definitely the highlight. Got some candy, got some gift cards, the classics. But Socks was the highlight. Faux show.
Nice.
We saw Christmas Day. We saw Star Wars. What'd you think about the new one?
I liked it.
Yeah,
it was good. Yeah, I mean, I read a lot of negative things going into it. I avoided most spoilers. There were some things that I had seen and heard that I'd kind of already pieced together, such as, well, I don't want to say it in case the folks haven't listened.
Right. No spoilers, please, Josh.
But yeah, there were some things that I had in mind, particularly kind of the reveal on lineage and whatnot. But overall, I thought it was good. Everyone was complaining about it being too Disney. It's a Disney movie. Of course that's going to happen.
It's Disney. It was J.J. Abrams, the same guy that did Seven, so it was going to be pretty fan servicey. Definitely called back to the original trilogy. So those were pretty those were pretty expected, I should say, not unexpected. But
yeah, but I mean, overall, I enjoyed it. How did you like it?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I'm not going to say it was the best Star Wars movie. I'm not going to say it was the worst. I'm one of the few people who I think really liked 8, just because it did kind of, subvert my expectations, and it was just a kind of a different take on Star Wars. So the 9 going back to the Abrams is just obviously a big contrast from 8. But I thought it was fine. It's a good way to end the Skywalker saga, I suppose.
Yeah.
Since this is the movie podcast, so we'll just plug quickly. I saw Uncut Gems today. That's a fucking movie. Adam Sandler, Kevin Garnett, they make a hell of a movie.
Interesting.
Also, if you Google any single people out there, if you want to go ahead and Google Julia Fox, you're welcome. Go see the movie if you want to see, some hot shots, and Google her if you want to see even more. Julia Fox. Anyways, Josh, we should probably move on.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've been ready to end this podcast since you got here.
So you've been ready to end this podcast 2 years ago, and this podcast was your fucking idea. So imagine that.
Nah.
Hot takes, Josh. What do you got? Week 17.
I say Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be quarterback 1 of the week.
Well, that's pretty original, because I first had my hot take in there that Ryan Tannehill was going to be QB1 of Week 17, mainly because I need him to win my Final Fantasy matchup. But
weren't you up by like 70 in that league?
I'm up by 37, not 70.
Oh well.
But why would you let up on the gas when you could just stomp in their throat and beat them by 1 billion?
That is an awesome transition into one of our future segments, but we'll get into that. So,
whoa.
But no, you've got a good point. Fantasty Zone. I mean, we don't have much to go on. You're in one of those broken leagues where you have a Week 17 matchup.
Well, I mean, it's a combined Week 16 and 17. It's a
True.
2-weeker. But yes.
But yeah, this is brought to you by Captain Coke in my Punisher Mariah Benjamin Williams wedding mug that I got for being a groomsman, and not anything else, I don't think.
How fucking dare you? As always, brought to you by the Strawberry Arnie Palmer.
Well, I just got invited to an Xbox party. Not yet, Brad.
Did I get invited to?
Brad.
I did not get invited to an Xbox Live party. Sad day.
Yeah, well, my Xbox is on, so.
Well, that would explain it. You're signed in. All right, so Fantasy Zone. We did get a fan mail. We're not going to talk about key injuries because it doesn't matter for almost anyone at this point. So, Brian, very simple fan mail, and it really kind of ties into studs and duds. But he said, I submitted the Raiders defense just to hear Josh go off because that's fun. Love the grum. So, Brian, just, a little jab at Josh in there in the fan mail.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
We also received some physical fan mail, Josh.
What?
So I don't know if you recall last year I had gotten you a Christmas present.
No.
And this year I again got you a Christmas present. So what would I get you last year, Josh? Do you recall?
Aaron Rodgers bobble thingy? Not a bobble thingy, but I don't know
just
what they're called.
It's a pop, yeah. They're specifically called pop. So this year probably went a little overboard if that was kind of the threshold I set.
Did you give me a car?
I got you a car, exactly. So you just sit there for a second because it's right here.
Oh, no. Car, I didn't get you anything. I feel awful. I am waiting for him. What the hell is that?
Is it, Josh?
Oh my God. It is Lagavulin Offerman Edition, 11-year aged Scotch whiskey.
Scotch.
Wow, Gar. You didn't have to get me anything. Why'd you give me this?
I don't know. I saw it and I was like, if anyone in my life would appreciate such a thing, Josh would. So I just.
I appreciate. I'm going to drink it all right now.
That's a bold move. So, because I honestly don't even know if you like Scotch. So it's like, if he doesn't like Scotch, he can just have the collector's item. Obviously, it's an Offerman thing. He's in love with the man Offerman himself. So I figure you can't really go wrong.
You are correct.
So there you go. Merry Christmas, my friend. Thank you for welcoming me into your home for, what is it, 20 weeks a year at least?
Oh, yeah, and then I invite you about half of them.
Yeah, I mean, I show up whether you invite me or not,
right.
for sure. But yeah, so Merry Christmas, my friend. That you can fuck with that. Do have a discussion question while you take your sip. Since we skipped it last week, who will / should? Well, maybe it's two separate questions. First, who should be fired on this Black Monday? So that's when all the NFL coaches get fired. They're going to get fired usually.
Yeah. I suppose it was nice to actually not talk about it last week and bring it up this week because we are 1 week closer to the end of the year, kind of get some ideas. I don't think Shermer is going to last in New York. Everybody talked about how just atrocious the Dolphins and the Bengals are, but the Giants were just as bad, if not worse than them throughout the year. I don't think they'll last. I don't think he'll last. Freddie Kitchens is another name. I don't think that he was ever their long-term plan anyways. And then there are some things being kind of spit out that possibility Freddie Kitchens goes down, Seth Stefanski takes that job, and then Shermer comes back to Minnesota in that role. But I don't know. I mean, the only one that I think for sure is Shermer.
Shermer? Okay, so that's who you should be fired. And then who do you think be fired? I don't know if there's a difference for you versus your opinion versus reality.
Yeah,
but
I mean, him, Gase.
Gase is already out, you're thinking?
Yeah, I think Gase is going to be out. Honestly, those are the only two that come to my mind. If I took time to actually look at things, maybe come up with a couple more. I don't know the guy's name in Cincy, but yeah, he should. I mean,
I think it's more of a punishment. Zach Taylor, is that his name?
I think it's more of a punishment to have to actually coach that team.
Well, I mean, it is his first year, so they might give him some leniency, but we do see plenty of first-year guys get their heads rolled as well. So okay, and then I kind of agree. I think of anyone who could go, Gase. I agree with Kitchens. I agree with both for will and should. Well, yeah, I mean, Gase just seems to be very toxic no matter where he goes. Kitchens probably wasn't prepared for that job. So, I mean, if they could somehow work a scenario where Kitchens just steps down, well, it's probably too awkward to do that at this point, but that might be the best for that organization because I know Baker likes him. I have heard Shermer's name mulled around as well. You think they'd give him another chance with a new QB since he was kind of strapped to Eli for so long, but probably not. I'm trying to think. Ron Rivera already left. Of all the other obnoxious teams, Brian Flores in Miami's not going to go anywhere. Zach Taylor probably shouldn't go anywhere in Cincinnati. Washington, Jay Gruden he got fired like week 6, right? Like that was this year?
Yeah.
Okay. I see. It's been so long. So he's already gone. So I mean, those are the big ones. Matt Patricia's sticking around. Cliff Kingsbury's obviously sticking around. Can't think of the bottom of any other divisions at the moment, but so yeah, that's just fun. I mean, we'll know. We got one more podcast coming at you guys, so we'll know by next week. Black Monday will have passed, and we'll know who's in or out. Josh, we don't have to talk about it too long because it depresses me greatly. But what happened week 17 or week 16 in the Homer department? Fuck you, Josh.
Yeah, okay, well, the Vikings are terrible.
I hate you. Try now.
Team has a bunch of losers in Minnesota.
Thanks, Carl.
I hate you.
Well, as expected, Green Bay went into Minnesota and stomped the Vikings.
As expected.
As expected by only one person of picks that I saw on the professional network.
Yeah, named Carl Gerbschmidt.
No, it was somebody, and their only reasoning behind it was they're so far behind that they need this win to catch up.
It was Steve Young.
Yeah. But no, I mean, overall, pros for Green Bay. I thought the defense played extremely well in a different or in an outside environment. They stifled the run game. Now, no Cook. That's going to be an excuse. That's fine. He's a lot better than what we saw them roll out there that week. Run game was very good against a solid run team. I think that they allowed 200 some or 180 some rush yards to Seattle a couple weeks ago. But But other than that, they had been pretty solid against the run. And then Jones went in there and had 156 yards. Quick outs. I mean, it's not very spicy to see just a bunch of quick outs, 3 yards out route. But when you run it 100 different times and they can't stop it, it worked. And then time of possession was largely in Green Bay's favor for that game. Cons started the game with 3 turnovers. Rodgers hasn't hit his big-time game. And then we really have no true wide receiver, too. I think Devontae had 16 targets. Alan Lazard had 9, so I guess he would technically be the number 2. But then there was only 3 more for other wide receivers amongst that. So,
Your dog, I believe, is trying to work out by eating the exercise equipment.
Yeah, she's on 2-a-days.
I saw you also wrote pros and cons for Minnesota. I assumed you would want to read those yourself.
Yeah. Pros, the defense looks solid. 10 in the last 2 games, which is nuts. Cook will be back for the playoffs, it sounds like. Bailey did okay. I tried to come up with 3 for you.
Hell yeah, brother.
Cons, your guys' play calling was atrocious.
Wasn't good.
Run up the middle, punt.
Yes.
Just skip third down altogether.
Pretty much.
The offensive line went out there with blindfolds on. And then you guys lost Barr and Kendricks. And I don't know, I hadn't heard anything since the game on their status for, I know they're out, I know Kendricks is out week 17, but I don't know any about further into the future.
Right. As far as my notes, I just kept it short and sweet. All I said was QB, so Kirk Cousins, pretty much the whole coaching staff, Rick Spielman, about everything else about this organization is good, not great. So average, maybe a little bit above average, but definitely not in the Billy B realm, the Aaron Rodgers realm, the Tom Brady realm. So, things are like these are going to happen. People can say it's becoming not a coincidence when it happens against the Packers twice a year, the Bears, but games like these are going to happen, and it's just kind of the way it is when you got things that are good, not great. So it sucked. That was not fun. What else did you see in week 16, Josh? Anything?
Nope. That's the only game that I cared about.
All right. Well, on Saturday, I was watching Buffalo at New England. I thought we both were kind of thinking Buffalo might win that game. They did not end up winning that game. Billy B still found a way to win because he's Billy B. The Saturday night was very exciting. The Rams going up against San Fran. Final score was 31-34. It looked like the Rams were going to walk away with that one, but then there was a huge blown coverage right at the end of the fourth quarter that allowed San Fran to get into field goal range, and then Robbie Gould did eventually hit him with the dagger. And so their playoff hopes and dreams were diminished and destroyed at that point in time. Cincinnati at Miami, a game no one watched, but ended 35-38, win into overtime. Josh had texted me multiple times that Cincinnati was the greatest team in football, so I just put entertainment level was over 9,000. Dallas at Philly. Dallas had nothing to do, or had nothing they could do. They're having a good old-fashioned lose-off for the division. It's just not going well for anybody who wants to be entertained by football. Last game that was pretty interesting was Arizona going into Seattle and upsetting the Seahawks. Seattle, they're still going to be in the playoffs. They'd already clinched their position, but I think they were still in contention for the 1 seed before that happened. They could have won the division, took the 1 seed, and now I think their best seed is 2 or 3. Obviously there's all these weird scenarios. They're most likely going to be the 5 seed, could be the 3 seed, I think, depending on how all the things fall out. But that was interesting just to see them get upset. It was a divisional game, so it was certainly possible, but that's what happened. Josh, who the Packers play this week?
They play Detroit.
Are they going to beat them? Or?
Well, you would hope so. No, they go to Detroit. Finish the season. I'm sure a lot of people expected this to be the case. 12-3, 13-3, I guess now. I haven't updated it. Going into the 3-11-1, 3-12-1 Detroit Lions.
What?
Did they lose last week?
12-3 is right.
No.
That's 15 games. 3-11-1.
I'm dumb.
It's also 15 games.
I was thinking week 17. But yeah, 12-3. I guess I was just one ahead.
Anticipating
a win. Everybody expected Green Bay to be 12-3 at this point. Every single person.
Yeah.
And so honestly, I'm just excited. I don't know what they'll do. I think that if they go out there with their starters, play them for a half just to keep them in football shape, ready to go, don't affect the timing much. If they get a lead, that's great because a win here solidifies them in that 2 spot. If they win and Seattle wins, they can take the number 1 seed. If they win or if they lose, Seattle loses and New Orleans loses, they could still get the 2 seed. So a lot of different things. Worst they can do is 3. Best they can do is 1. So just like I thought.
Not bad for a couple white guys.
Yeah. What's Minnesota got going on this week?
Minnesota's playing a meaningless game at home against Chicago. The only note I wrote was just rest the top 31 guys because you have to have. Well, I guess it doesn't even have to be 31. You could have guys play both sides. You need at least 11 people on the field at any one given time. But I said just rest everyone and maybe even rest Stefanski and Zimmer too. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, entirely meaningless game. It sounds like the news has already come out that we're resting pretty much all the starters. So I think that's the right move. And this team could go into the playoffs and have success. They might win a game or 2. I don't see this team going to the bowl unless they get a lot of momentum behind them. But we could steal the game in the playoffs on the road. We'll see.
Yeah.
My hopes are not astronomical. Josh?
Yeah. Well,
Go ahead.
I know that you guys could play at 3 different spots. The most likely outcome is New Orleans.
Yep.
And how do you feel about the possibility of them signing Antonio Brown?
I mean, he would obviously be part of their game plan immediately. I know I have been reading that he could go on the commissioner's exempt list. I think that's kind of bullshit, though, because they started investigating him as soon as the Patriots cut him, which was like week week 3, whatever it was. And so that investigation should be done by now. They went faster than that on Deflategate and on pretty much all their other NFL investigations. So I'm pretty much just dragging their feet, hoping people forget about Antonio Brown. But, I mean, obviously he'd be a threat. Our secondary has been our probably worst part of our team this year. So it would not be great. The only thing that would be to our benefit is that it would take him probably a little bit longer to get up to speed. But assuming the guy's still in football shape, he could run down the field and gash Xavier Rhodes, no problem. So
yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, at this point, probably.
What else? Week 17, Tingles and Jingles.
Correct. I only put one game in there, Josh. I think it's the only game that we should really be tingling our jingle to.
Yeah, San Francisco 49ers at Marshawn Lynch.
That is correct.
Yeah, he was serving shots at an Oakland tailgate last week, 2 weeks ago. Now he's starting running back for Seattle.
No big fucking deal.
The only thing I get out of that entire scenario is go be a bartender in Oakland.
That's what the kids are saying.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's probably going to be the biggest game, most fun to watch, just because there are tons of playoff seeding implications for the NFC.
You okay, Josh? You gonna make it, or do we want to have a quick nap time?
Yeah.
So it looks like you did not update the Tingle Jingles clinch scenarios, so we don't know the final AFC and NFC scenarios.
I think, well, yeah, kind of. NFC, it's Dallas wins, Philly loses, Dallas is in. Philly wins, Philly's in.
Okay, and the AFC?
AFC, who cares? They're not going to win.
How dare you? The Oakland Raiders are still in the hunt. Tennessee Titans, the Steelers. It's semi-interesting. I guess not. All right, Josh. Let's move on then, I guess, to locks and upsets. And I just have to write just a little thing down. Don't mind me. And then I just got to play a little ditty. Watch your ears, folks.
It's a bold strategy,
Oh,
Cotton.
fuck.
Let's see if it
I hit
pays
the
off
wrong
for
number
'em.
1, Josh. So last week I was a little too skippy with my takes on locks and upsets. I did put in a recording to amend my statements, but last week I said that nothing mattered. If Kyle got 1 point, it was over. That was wrong because there's still 8 points left. But now I can say the only 2 people in contention for the locks and upsets, $140, are Kyle and T. Kyle currently has the lead with 38. T's behind him with 36. T could win. Kyle's best strategy is to just copy T's picks. Obviously, here in the last week, I am going to not... I mean, T usually doesn't pick until
Noon on Sunday.
Correct. Yeah, his picks are in very last moment. Kyle doesn't usually pick until Sunday morning either. So it'll be interesting. It's either man's game. Obviously, I'm going to have to come up with a tiebreaker just in case they end up with the same number of points. I was just thinking go simple and just say the total number of points scored in the Vikings game. But Josh, you have any other better idea for a tiebreaker?
No. Well, tiebreaker. Yeah, no, I can't think of anything. I don't think that we'll have one. I think Kyle's gonna run away with it.
He certainly. I mean, he's got the 2-point lead. So I mean, he there's no double lock, so he has to pick at least one upset. So you would imagine T goes double upsets unless T thinks that Kyle's gonna bomb this week. Because if T went only one lock and one upset, then he could get a max of 3 points, which would only pass Kyle by 1. So Kyle would have to have an eggnog of a week. So I don't know. What do you think? You think Kyle's just going to walk away with it finally?
Yeah.
After being in a lead since like week 7, week 6?
Yeah. No, he's. I think he's got this on lock. So I'm not even gonna bother saying T has a chance.
Not going to speculate.
He had more of a chance to beat you in the semis.
Ooh, and I beat him by like 60. So, all right. So that's locks and upsets. It's Kyle versus T coming down to the wire. Kyle has the 2-point lead. I guess we can go through a couple picks since people were nice of us. We're nice enough to still send them in. Josh, looks like you've got one of your picks in this week.
No, I got 2.
Oh, on my screen it's just the one. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I hit enter. Proud of you. What do you got?
I've got Detroit upsetting Green Bay because
Why
who
not?
cares?
Right.
And then I've also got Chicago upsetting Minnesota for the giggles.
I mean, yeah, at this point, you can definitely see that the Vegas line changing since Minnesota's going to be sitting at starters. But I went with the strategy of just go with my homies going out. I'm in dead last place. Eric's got 4 points on me last week, so the best I could do is tie Brad or Eric's for last. But so I'm going out with my homies because it's meaningless for me to pick anything else. I'm taking the Chargers over Kansas City and Oakland over Denver, going with my 2 AFC West heartthrobs. Neither of them will probably get the upset, but in case they do, I'd want it to be just like that. Eric's got some picks in. He's got Pitt over Baltimore as a lock, and he's got Houston over Tennessee as an upset. Obviously, Baltimore is resting many of their starters, so that's probably a good lock. So I will probably not be able to tie Eric's. And then there's no other picks on the sheet, but I do have a text from Mr. Ryan Walters. He's going double upsets this week. Ryan Walters likes Chicago over Minnesota, just like you, Josh, and he likes Indy over, while Walters always writes it weird, he's taking Jacksonville over Indy as his other upset. So, Walters, thanks for getting those in the wire. Eric's, thank you for being the weekly contributor that you are. I assume Nikita you didn't ask her. She was just like, there's no point.
No, she just didn't tell me.
All right, well, she could still get them in pre-Sunday. So that's it. That's all we got for locks and upsets at the moment. I'll make sure I have no other texts because sometimes Brian gets them in, but I assume Brian's like everyone else and is not going to waste the time if they don't have a chance. All right, Josh, do we want to move on to, it's not our final fantasy fun time, but it's the final normal fantasy fun time.
Final regular season fantasy fun time because the postseason I am going to dub the fantasy funner time.
Whoa, Josh, I was going to call it the fantasy fun time retrospective, but I like funner time as well.
Yeah, because funner is a fun word to say.
Some would say it's funner than fun.
Some may, and some may be wrong. But yes, it is fantasy fun time. Boop, boop. Boop, 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 fantasy fun time!
Gee, someone's ears are bleeding right now, I'll have you know. I'm not going to go in and fix that either. So you're going to get a text message from Brian or from Walters or from someone that are like, my ears are literally bleeding right now. Can you sleep like that, Josh? Can you sleep knowing that you made people's ears bleed?
I mean, Rebecca Black made a song called It's Friday and slept just fine.
That was the greatest song ever. How dare you say anything different?
Well,
That made my heart bleed.
Kaya, what are you doing?
I'm pretty sure Kaya's trying to eat me right now.
Do you want to say hi to the folks?
Kaya, speak. The one time Ow! Ow! Oh, see, Odin gets in there. Ow! The one time we want Kai to make a noise, she doesn't make a fucking peep.
Well, she's got stage fright.
She's gun
It's
shy?
okay. Yeah. But yeah, grain of salt. What do you got?
Grain of salt. I just wrote grain of salt finale, even though I have one matchup still pending. So, Josh, I was in 2 championship games last week. I was in 3 third-place games last week. Josh has now started a dogfighting ring again. So anyways, I took 3rd in the Jerome Bettis League. That's my most expensive league. I finished 3rd, got $200 out of that league. In the Deflate These Balls League, which is with a bunch of my buddies, I got 4th in that league, only walked away with $20, and that's because I had a high score one week. In the Deflate These Balls League, didn't even make the playoffs. I finished 8th. In that Dynasty League that has ended. I guess it's an Empire League, really. An Empire League that has ended, and we're going to restart next year. You come back to the Deflate These Balls? Nice. We're doing an auction draft. Never done one of those.
Neither
Especially
have I.
for Dynasty. That's going to be intense, I would imagine.
That I didn't know we were doing that. I never got that message.
Do you ever read the messages you get?
I haven't gotten any messages.
Like, you don't read them on Sleeper?
I haven't had Sleeper send me anything, so.
Well, I mean, he just posted in Sleeper. You have to go read it.
Well, all right.
So anyways, we're coming back next year. Auction Dynasty Draft, brand new. That's going to be exciting. Hidden Oaks Redraft. We'll get into it later, but I took 2nd. I lost a hammer. Still walked away with 150 big ones. The Fantasy League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I won my 3rd place matchup, walked away with $80. The Hidden Oaks Dynasty League, I never made the playoffs, finished 9th out of 10. The Deflate These Balls was 8th out of 12. The BSB League, I sucked all year in that league. I took 9th out of 12, never made near the playoffs. And then in what was my work league, I no longer work there, obviously. Haven't worked there for the majority of the season, but still, I'm in the fantasy matchup right now. I'm up by 37 points going into the final the final week of scores. And I've already got $20. I could get 220 more bucks. So overall, I have already netted $470 on the year, which is 40 more than I spent. Could walk away with 220 more. Feels good.
Yeah. I was in 2 championship matchups. I took 2nd in the Victoria's Secret League. Not a bad finish, although I did end up losing by 0.8 because Mike Boone is a literal piece of trash and didn't get a single carry in the second half, I don't think.
He definitely had one. How dare you?
Okay, fine. He had 1 carry in the second half. But no, he is one of the absolute worst human beings on the planet. Probably doesn't deserve to share oxygen with Jeffrey Dahmer and other serial killers. No, I'm just kidding. I lost by 0.8, but the Packers won, so it kind of softened the blow. Yes, I could have started nearly any other running back on my bench and won. But whatever. I got
YOLO swag.
I won $180 in that league because I had a $5 side bet. And then in Nikita's family league, we won by like 100 points, got 300 out of there. And so that was our first place finish there. We've made the playoffs every single year though, so great, good for us. We've lost 3 consecutive semifinals matchups, and this is the year that we won it all. So this is good feeling. Didn't make the playoffs in Deflate These Balls or the hit. Or in Deflate These Balls. Lost, didn't have a matchup in the Redraft League. And then the Hidden Oaks Dynasty, I kicked Kevin's ass for a $20 3rd place finish. Overall, I finished with $500 winnings, which is more than double what I spent.
Not bad for a white guy. So Josh, I don't want you to feel personally attacked, but kind of what are some of the proposals I'm going to change for the Dynasty League next year? I know you kind of like coming in 3rd and winning $20, but one of my proposed changes might be taking that $20 away, so I don't want you to be upset if you don't walk away with $20 next year. Yeah,
that's fine, as long as you don't do something stupid like take away the tight end position.
That's already been decided a long time ago. So yeah, those were our grain of salt finales. If you listen to us for any fantasy advice, we're not terrible. We're just not the greatest that ever was. No top performers of the week because that's pointless. Well, I guess we could have because it was for the championship week. But studs and duds, Josh. We still got one more week of this. Last week I went full swing. I went A.J. Brown because I had him in my starting lineup against Hammer. Projected 13.1 as a stud. I actually got 15.3, so that was a positive 2.2. I picked Kenyon Drake as a dud, though. He was projected 14.6. He actually got 33.4. I was negative 16.6 on the week. Fucking ouch.
I had John Ross projected 7.9. He finished with 15, positive 7 there. And then Fournette was my dud. He was projected 19. He only got 13.5. So I finished with a positive 12.4.
Eric's had the Steelers D to Josh's chagrin, projected as a stud at 8.7, only got 7, so negative 1.7 there. Edelman as the dud, projected 15, only got 14.2, so Eric's was negative 0.9 on the week.
Nikita, my lovely wife, had Lamar Jackson, who, despite being projected 26, was still a stud with 30, positive 4 there. She had Zeke as a dud. He ended up being a dud, and she finished with positive 8.7.
Yeehaw! Mr. Ryan Walters had Adam Thielen as a stud. He was projected 14.4, actually got 0.2. So that was negative 14 there for Walters. Had Aaron Jones as the dud. 15.5 projection, 28 as the actual. Walters was negative 26.7 on the week, dead last by 10.
I think I did make a comment that said that was going to happen too.
Yeah, I mean, he went full homerism. He wasn't like he was quote unquote not trying, but yeah.
Brian had the Raiders dumb ass or defense.
That's 11 guys, Brian. That's cheating.
Exactly. See that, Brian? You're cheating. So you only got 4 points. Kind of a wash there. Mike Boone as your dud. He was definitely a dud, negative 11. So he got you a net positive 11. So you finished with a total of 10.8 positive.
Yeah, for the record, we first had Miko as the stud. I don't think she got to, 737 pounds?
That was 400.
Well, 400 was the projected, but then, so what do we think the actual was at the end of the week? Was
I don't know.
Miko end up being a stud?
I don't think Brad managed to get her to the zoo to get on a scale.
And then Brad was the dud with an IQ of 1. Do we think Brad finished with an IQ of less than 1?
Well, like I said, I don't think he got to the zoo to step on the scale for Miko. And I think part of the reason is because he couldn't find the door to get out of his house. So I'm going to go ahead and say he washed.
So no matter what, Brian walked away positive on the week is what I'm hearing.
Yep.
All right, and then Jamie, we had a celeb shot from Jamie last week. I didn't even post on Facebook this week, so I didn't give anyone a chance. Devontae Parker projected as the stud for her, projected 15, got 22.1, so that's positive 7 for Jamie. OBJ as the dud, projected 12, actually got 14.4, negative 2 there, but overall Jamie netted a positive 5.2 points on the week. Week 17, Josh. I got Marshawn Lynch. I got him in at when he was projected 2.1. I heard he's listed as RB1. So if that man doesn't surpass 2.1 points, full PPR, and in week 17, I'll be very sad. And then my dud is Edelman, projected 15.8.
I didn't know we were doing studs and duds this week because I just assumed fantasy was over. And so I'm just going to go ahead and just throw names out there. I'm going to go with the stud of A.J. Brown and a dud of Edelman.
Wow, Josh, pretty original dud pick there.
Well, I mean, he's got some washed up piece of trash throwing him the football.
That's true.
He is a washed up piece of trash. So, yeah.
All right, we got Deontay Johnson is Eric's stud pick. Anyone who doesn't know, that's a wide receiver for the Steelers. Eric's is a Steeler fan, so going homer there. And I believe the Steelers are not playing the Browns, but the Steelers obviously don't like the Browns. He picked OBJ as his dud. Walters also got his picks in. He's got Mostert as his stud, Raheem Mostert, and then Russell Wilson as his dud. So it looks like Walters loves the 49ers in the Sunday night football matchup we will all hopefully love.
Thank you for the 1 seed, Walters.
So stud and dud leaderboard, Josh, you did update it. Nikita, out of the core 5, Nikita is going to win. She currently has 52.3. Josh could, in a really good week, Pastor, he's got 29.6 in second. I tanked last week. I'm down to 1.2. I'm just praying to God I finish positive at this point. Walters is 4th with negative 44, and Eric's is dead last at negative 54. Walters, you could end up squeaking out that last place if you really want it. Just put in a little more effort, and you could take last. Brian, of course, on the all-time leaderboard is first with 89. Didn't put picks in this week. I don't know if he will or not. Nikita 40 points behind him with 52, so Brian will probably win that one. You want to talk about me losing the championship game? Or I would assume you'd be giddy for this point.
I mean, we've had a lot of time to process everything that happened, and both of us were going back and forth. because I needed Boone to do well to get my first place in another league.
Right.
So it's unfortunate. You'd think he would have had a better game, but that Packers defense you couldn't get by, and the coaches were just not trusting Boone with the ball. They put in Abdullah for almost the entire fourth.
Yeah, pretty much the entire second half. Literally almost every passing down. I think Mike Boone had one reception. So they did, for whatever reason, they did not want Mike Boone to touch the ball through the air and only run it through the middle.
And we texted back and forth about that, about him being the running back and Abdullah going in for receptions. But then we looked up and I was shocked because I always assumed Abdullah was more of a receiving threat. They were the same in college. And Boone's been on the team longer, but not by much.
Right. They might have come here the same year, actually. Otherwise, Boone has a year.
I think they came here at the same year.
Obviously,
but
Amir had more professional experience. Boone's a practice squad guy. Amir was with the Dolphins, with the Lions. But
yep. And so I mean, I honestly didn't see that coming, especially when they turned the ball over on the 10-yard line. Green Bay turned the ball over on the 10-yard line. I thought that they were just going to run three downs in a row. They ran one, he got 5, and I was like, well, okay, touchdown Boone.
Right.
But nope, that didn't work out. So I feel bad. At the same time, congrats, Hammer.
Yeah, I would say we don't want to talk about me losing. We should definitely talk about Hammer winning. The final score was 129.2 to my 118.3. Saturday was looking okay for me. Hammer had started Jameis Winston, was projected almost 20 points, only got 11. Jameis had a rough day. I think he had 4 or 5 interceptions, so that was certainly hurting his pointage. What were the other Saturday games? He had Raheem Mostert, who went Saturday night. And he only got 11, which is 2 points under his projection. So going into Sunday, I was feeling pretty good about it. Obviously, Alvin Kamara ended up putting up 29 points. He had I think it was a fourth quarter touchdown that really daggered me. Kenyon Drake coming in with 33, upsetting the Seahawks. That daggered me as well. Those were pretty much all his points right there. Was Alvin Kamara, and Kenyon Drake made up over 60 of his points. Amari Cooper only had 6.4. Jarvis Landry had 14.4. The Steelers defense and Will Lutz were pretty much on projection as just a kicker and defense. So I had a chance going into Monday night. Obviously, Mike Boone, like Josh said, let me down. I could have started my lineup differently if I would have started Larry Fitzgerald over Mike Williams. Nope, that's not enough to get there. It would have been much closer though. I could have made this lineup so I won, but in the end I lost, and Hammer deserved to win anyways. So kind of just the way she fucking goes, boys.
Yeah. Odin's over there expressing his condolences as well.
Thanks, Odin.
Other news, Nate, consolation champ. So congrats, Nate.
Allegedly hadn't set his lineup since week 10, if you believe Nate at his word, at his verbatim.
That trade that we had happened after week 10, and he moved some things around in there because I saw Miles Sanders in there at one point and D.D. Westbrook. And
do we want to go check to see if Miles Sanders and D.D. Westbrook were in the consolation championship team?
I will take the time if you want to vamp for a bit.
I can vamp. I mean, I have the ESPN up, so it'll probably be faster than you. But
oh, yeah, you can go ahead then. I'll just sit here and continue playing Yahtzee.
He did have Miles Sanders, who did get him 26.6 points, which was 10 over his projection. D.D. Westbrook was on the bench, only scored 2.5. So Miles Sanders was not the only thing because he beat Derek 155.9 to 110.9, so beat him by 45. But Miles Sanders definitely contributed.
Yeah, no, and Miles Sanders had a great month after Jordan Howard went down. So
yeah,
and I'm not even referring to just a trade in general. I think that he's going to have a decent draft stock come next season.
Yeah. I mean, he certainly has the opportunity. Sproles is gone. Boston Scott has not, been threatening at all. Jordan Howard is fine. They just took Jordan Howard, but they could cut him. They could trade him. So Miles Sanders definitely does look like the future in Philly, at least for the time being. I guess if there's any other thing we can shout out here is that right as the playoffs started, or right after Brian lost, Brian did call Hammer winning. He didn't think that I was going to be in the championship game, but Brian called Hammer getting to the championship and winning. So just shout out to Brian for predicting that from a few weeks prior. Good for you. Josh also took Willie as the winner, or not Willie, took Hammer as the winner. So you guys both predicted that correctly last week. Obviously, I was never going to pick against myself, but is there anything you want to say about the Redraft League, Josh? Otherwise, that'll be pretty much the nail in the coffin for the redraft in the podcast this year.
Nope. I definitely did the consistency rankings and showed that Hammer's team wasn't most consistent, which led to my projections for the rest of the season, or my predictions for the rest of that playoff push. And I think I went perfect the last 2 weeks. So consistency is key.
Gosh, you fucking nailed that sentence. You were so good.
I worded.
You're so good. Oh my God.
Specs on the end line for the rotary girder. I'm retarded.
We got the important part in there. All right, Josh. So, because Nate and Garrett are being absolute dicks about taking the survey, we don't have complete results, but we can go over what we have at this exact moment in time, and I'll refresh the page just in case one of those two gentlemen surprised me, but I doubt it. So right now we have 12 out of 14 responses. So do you happen to remember the questions off the top of your head or no? So number one, did you
have the document that I can see?
I haven't made it yet. I was just going to make it once it was done. You can look over my shoulder if you want, I guess.
Nah.
So anyways, question number one, did you have fun? Right now, where people are probably lying at this point, we have 100% said they had fun. So that's 12 yeses. They had fun. So I don't know if they're just trying to support my ego or not, but so that's good. The question after that is, how can we make it more fun? Most of them are just nonsense answers, as is tradition. One person said, I like the limited bench, made everything more valuable and calculated. Another person said, not a fan of the in-person draft, took too long and wasn't cool, would rather draft together online. Last note, I think you can guess who this one was from. It just said, you had home field advantage. So I don't know why they would put that in the comments of how you could make it more fun. I guess they don't want me to have home field advantage anymore. But most of the other, so that was what, two serious ones out of 12. That's not terrible. Next question is, after having 14 fantasy teams in the league this year, how do you feel about playing with 14 now? So the options were playing with 14 was too many, I'm indifferent, or I enjoyed playing with 14 people. So a quarter of people, 25%, which is 3 out of 12 right now, say they enjoyed playing with 14 people. Only one person said playing with 14 people is too many, and then the rest would say they're indifferent. So that's 8 people say they're indifferent about playing with 14 people. So, I mean, I guess I will propose it to a vote one more time just to see if people's change, but we have a lot of indifference in there, so I think maybe once they've acclimated to it, they're more fine with it, but we'll see. And obviously we'll need 14 people if we're going to actually do it. Who knows? Nate has seemed not very happy with fantasy, and if Nate goes, I think Robin would be happy to bow out as well. Anyways, anyone had any other comments about it? The 14-person league. One person said 12 or 14 is fine. I would prefer only 6 playoff teams, though. Another person said it made it more competitive. And the last one said, I was the last 2 to get in, so I want to stay in the league. So I think that was probably Brian saying, please don't kick me out of the league. Brian, even if we go to 12, you're not guaranteed to get kicked out. If Nate bows out, then you could take Nate's spot. So yeah, that was that. Last one was a question about the side bets. We had 13 weekly side bets. Did you like these as a way to earn money? 83.3% said yes, they are a fun and cool addition. And then 16%, so I'm going to guess 2 people said no, I'd prefer the money is used elsewhere. So 10 out of 12 people said the side bets are cool. I just asked a question so last week we didn't really communicate about the side bets at all. So this year I sent out a weekly text. 2/3 of people said they cared more about the side bets when I send out weekly texts. Quarter were indifferent, and then one person said I did not care more because of the text. So most people cared more because of the text. Question about the trade kerfuffle. We had a trade controversy. What can we do about it? Some of the responses are move the deadline up to about week 8. First week of playoffs is way too late. Have a rule and enforce it. If people don't vote, too bad. Move trade deadline forward. Give commissioner power to veto ridiculous trades. Check the site more frequently and be accountable. We need to just collectively pay more attention. Move up the trade deadline. Actually pay attention. People don't do shady stuff. That's very useful. Longer veto period. Everyone be adults and follow the rules. Let people know about questionable trades before the veto deadline. So most of the consensus there is just move up the trade deadline, I think.
Yeah, no, I noticed that as well.
So that was that. What do you enjoy? So this is about potentially. So we might be copying the Victoria's Secret League. I know, Josh, you want to come up with a different idea. You've already proposed that 100-yard dash thing and a couple other things. But so I just asked the question: would you be fine with the lottery system? And 50% of people said I'm indifferent. One person said no. Let's just keep it exactly the same. 25%, so that's 3 people said, sure, it's better than names out of a hat. And then 2 people said I had left the option for I have a better idea. So 2 people said I have a better idea. They went out of their way to answer the question that way. And then so there's a question after that said, if you said you have a better idea, put it here. So one of them says, hear me out, sharks. I don't know what the hell that means. The only real response in there was everyone threw a 1 bocce ball closest to furthest. So that was someone's idea, but obviously you'd have to have all 14 people together or 12 people together for that to work. So not a terrible idea, but that was the only serious different idea we got as a response.
Yeah, that's pretty unique.
So that was that. Would you be interested in attending? So this is my question. Would you be interested in attending a league barbecue? So this is kind of leading into if we had a lottery system, I figured we could throw a league barbecue. You don't have to show up, but it would just kind of make it more fun. We could be grilling, maybe playing some yard games, some cornhole, whatnot, spike ball, and then do the lottery as the night goes on. So 66.7%. So 2/3 of people said yes, they would make sure to attend, and then the other third of people said they would attend if they were already free. They just wouldn't break an appointment to attend. So no one has said they would not attend such an event. So that's good if that's the route we go. And then I asked about the live draft. What was your experience attending the live draft this year? 58.3%, so that's 7 people said the live draft was fun. I hope we do it again. 25%, which is 3 people said the live draft was okay but could have been improved. 1 person said I was totally indifferent. Live, online, it's all the same. And then 1 person also said I did not enjoy the live draft at all and hope we don't do it again. So most of the people enjoyed the live draft. Josh, I think I asked you right after the live draft. You said you enjoyed it. So I think most people like it. It's just trying to get there, I think.
Yeah.
So after that, it was additional comments about the live draft, so how we can improve it or what can make it different. 1 person said live draft always better. 1 person said 1 minute time limit on all picks. Was the same person taking 10 minutes every round. So someone's throwing some shots there. Some shade, if you will. Someone said, I like the live in-person draft, but I think it's better with computers, easier to see available players, look at stats, and set time limits for drafting. I agree with the time limits part, but I think it takes a little more skill to look at a piece of paper, so maybe that's just the easier route. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but what else other people say? I like live drafts, hard to do with small children, so I'm going to assume that was Willie, because he's the only person in the league currently with a small child. People need to stay on task more. Love the time available.
Brian's in the league. Here's Brad.
Brad's a big child. A little different. And then 1 other person said lower the time available. So pretty much the only real feedback we're getting is don't let Robin take 10 to 15 minutes a pick. Should we implement a league punishment? So we threw this out there. 50% of people said yes, it sounds fun. Another third of people, so 4, said it depends on what the punishment is. And then 16%, so 2 people said I'm indifferent. So no one said there should not be a punishment. So it looks like we're good to go with that. What that is. Some of the ideas proposed were tattoo picked by the rest of the league, has to wear something stupid at next year's draft, or a traveling plunger engraved with the losers. Loser has to cook a meal for everyone at next year's barbecue. 1 person said nothing that involves extra money spent. I think that's usually pretty fair. Someone just said fuck off required field because they made them answer that question. Wearing a shirt or hat of the champion's choosing at the following draft. I like the medallion idea. A little humiliation never hurt one. Or I've butchered this real bad. I like the medallion idea. A little humiliation never hurt no one. Ask Hitler. So that was someone's response. Post your whole life on social media for a week. Wear a special hat or something of that nature. Peanut butter, really? I'm confused. So I guess one of my proposed idea was running through a busy dog park covered in peanut butter. So how would you feel about that for league punishment, Josh?
No, thank you.
So I know a lot of this is just me
mostly because the people that would be at the dog park with their dogs would not be happy.
Well, yeah, of course not, because their dogs would be attacking this man covered in peanut butter. That's kind of the point.
Yeah, I would veto on that.
I know. I think it was just a funny idea.
I know. I would giggle.
It would be humorous. So that was all the regular league questions. We did have a podcast section. I won't go into that too much. The only thing I'll touch on is, why did you listen or why didn't you listen? It was fun. They continuing to improve. Love listening on the way to work. Never listened. Didn't have too much time. Didn't want to have too much of an advantage over everyone else. Sorry, that's what they said. Humor, supportive friends, football knowledge. Time, again, the small child. It proved difficult to listen. Derek played it for me, so I'm going to assume that was Robin. I like hearing your voice every day, so I don't know if they're talking to me or you, but we'll assume both. Josh, someone likes hearing your voice every day.
Yeah.
One person said, good to hear the talks. Another person said, sorry, this wasn't the question I thought it was, but I loved hearing the banter and predictions. I get a little busy at the end of the year, so I stopped listening. So this next question is how we could improve. One person said less Homer results talk. One person said nudity. I think we had a lot of nudity responses last year. We didn't implement that, so kind of dropped the ball on that one. Collins was a great... Did you want to comment on nudity? So Collins was a great addition, someone said. Someone said, cut down the time, maybe talk less about general news or Homer things we already all know about on a weekly basis. I want to listen to unique content if I can, more humor and games. Send out a weekly update. And then someone said more guest speakers. So that's general podcast feedback we got there. And that was about it. The last page says, do you have any other opinions on anything? Oh, I guess we do have one. One says, don't have locked players who can't be dropped. Can save one person from year to year. So essentially become a keeper league with one keeper. So yeah. Those are all the things.
Thank you for typing that up.
Any thoughts on the podcast feedback? Do you have any thoughts on the punishment or the new draft strategy or anything for next year?
No, not really. I know I texted you the other day about the potential change of how things...
oh, yeah, that's your doubleheader idea.
Yeah, so it's just something that I'd seen a couple times, and I guess we didn't necessarily implement this in the Victoria's Secret League, but we had a free-for-all week, so the top half of the league gets a win, bottom half gets a loss, no matter who you're playing. And then I saw that there are some hosting sites and some different leagues scoring and setups where you play double headers every week. So you play your head-to-head matchup, so whoever you're matched up against randomly, but then the second match is against everybody in the league. So if you're playing against, let's say you're playing against T, and T beats you 79-78 because we know T can't score over 100.
Obviously.
Well, obviously you deserve to lose that one because you only put up 78. But let's just say everybody else puts up way more. So you'd be 0 for 2, and T would still get a loss because he just happened to luck into his win. Other examples are if you have the two, like the number 1 and the number 2 highest scoring players play each other one week, you shouldn't get punished for scoring 185 points and 30 more than the next closest just because you played the highest score. So you'd get a win for beating or being in the top half of the league. So essentially, each week you could finish 3 different ways: 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2. And so it's just playoffs would work the same. It would come down to who has the best record at the end or the best records at the end. And it just adds a little bit more overall, I believe, equality and fairness just for those instances where you do have that, high scoring game you shouldn't be punished for because you're playing against Willie's team.
Yeah, Willie was quite the dominant force this week, or this year, I mean. So yeah, the doubleheader is definitely an idea we can propose. Anything else you'd want to see different in the league next year, Josh? I know you filled out the survey yourself, but sometimes you can have inspiration afterwards.
Yeah, that was an inspiration that came afterwards.
I know.
Not really.
I know you're not, because you don't really like copying Victoria's Secret, but do you think we'll find a different solution than is it name out of a hat or the lottery system? I know you'd propose that 100-yard dash thing. Any other draft ideas have come to you over time? Or like draft selection ideas?
Well, I don't think I did the 100-yard dash for the draft. Oh, the website. That's right. Yeah.
No,
I thought you were talking about
physical 100-yard dash. I would lose every time. I'd have the 14th pick every year.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about the league, and I think I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, would you? You'd probably be a top 5 pick every year, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe top 3. Because who would be your biggest competitors in running?
Brad.
His nickname was Glacier for the longest time.
Brian.
I was gonna say, well, Brian's a distance runner. I don't know. He might be speed as well. I was gonna say Nate, maybe Brian, and Derek and Willie are ripped, but I don't know if they're speed like cardio guys. So
True.
You'd be up there for sure.
Yeah, and
Maybe Jesse.
there's no chance in hell I'm running 100 yards to decide where I pick.
There you go.
So,
But yeah, no, the website.
yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those things that we have some time in the off season to think of. Obviously, we don't want to take forever, but I don't necessarily like the lottery system that Victoria's Secret has in place. They're talking about changing it. So, and because of just how silly it is, and how people always wonder why the hell we're using a Culligan machine with a vacuum cleaner to pick our draft. And then, but I do want to do something, and it shouldn't be something that forces everybody to get together when there's obviously busy schedules. So something that can be random, maybe like the National Spelling Bee. Everybody gets assigned a player, and then it goes based on their finish.
Sure.
Some people do that with like the Masters, golfing,
I
and
was
things
just gonna
like
say,
that.
yeah, Masters.
So we can, I mean, there's definitely some ideas out there where it does provide random, but it is somewhat entertaining for us to do.
Right.
I'm trying to think if there's any like if there's a game show that could be done or something like that. I mean, we can do. Oh no, we can't do it. I was gonna say Jackbox Party Pack games to see, but that won't work.
Right.
So, but yeah, so we'll think of something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously I've never done the lottery, so that's what makes it sound interesting to me, but I could definitely see how people could get burnt out by it eventually. So, I don't know. It's just, I want to do something that isn't names out of a hat, so whatever it ends up being, we'll figure it out. But
Yeah.
any other thoughts on anything, Josh? We would call this section Final Words. Part of the outro.
Love you long time.
You love who long time, Josh?
Well, you, Arnold Palmer, Lagavulin, whiteboard, cup.
Lamp. I love Lamp.
I love lamp.
All right, well then, if we have no other final words, we got one more episode coming at you guys. We'll have the hot takes retrospective. We'll get to listen back to all our hot takes. We'll talk. We had some studs and duds like for the year. We'll talk about those next week because they'll be done with the regular season. We'll talk about our general predictions. We'll talk about who got fired. We'll know who won the Locks and Upsets leaderboard by next week. We got plenty of content for you next week. So if you're only here for the Hidden Oaks Redraft League, you can go ahead and bounce out. But if you want to come back one more week, hear our takes, hear our beautiful voices, we'd love to have you. Josh, thank you for welcoming me into your home this whole year. We've just got one more week to go. Nikita, thank you as well. Ryan, Eric, Jamie, Levi, Zach, Brian, Hammer, Brad, Jesse, Jordan, Kyle. We love you so. Yeah. HiddenOaksOverdose@gmail.com, Facebook.com/hoodpod, Facebook.fm or Anchor.fm/hoodpod. Josh, the folks should what?
Go to sleep.
Nailed it. You mean like run away at the end this week? You feeling okay?
Well, that's because Nikita's cooking dinner. If I'm up there, I'd have to help.
Genius strategy. Yeah, I had to ship that to T's house because you can't ship alcohol to Minnesota anymore, I guess. So I had to get that. I had to ship it to greasy ass North Dakota, and then I got it from T on Thanksgiving.
Definitely not necessary.
Well, I mean, I do feel well, I won't say I feel guilty, but I do appreciate us doing this here every week. So, can show a little gratitude every once in a while. Last year I bought you what was it I bought?